And if we're talking about, we're not talking about someone who's already paleo or someone like you or I. We're talking about like standard American person.
Yes.
The one thing that they could do to have the biggest impact on their health, I would say, is to cut out refined sugar. Like that's probably the biggest thing, the easiest thing. I mean, I don't know how easy it is. It can be addicting.
Very, very addictive.
Yeah, and that's been shown. Dopamine levels, can get activated, and
also your gut biome, correct? Right, your gut biome literally has an impact on what you desire.
Right. Yeah, it does. So the thing about your microbiome and your gut is that the microbiome eats. It's at the distal part of your gut, so it's in the colon, right? The large intestine, the very end of the large intestine, is where most of the trillions of bacteria are. And those bacteria actually eat the fermentable fiber that we don't digest, we don't process. And the fermentable fiber comes from a variety of plants, from plants and from seeds and nuts and, legumes as well, oats. So there's different types of fermentable fiber that are found in different types of foods, and they feed different species of bacteria. Well, when you don't get enough of that fermentable fiber, what ends up happening, in fact, there's been studies showing that 75% of the microbiome population changes and when you don't get at all any fiber. And what happens, a couple of things. One is those bacteria species, they start to eat the carbohydrate that's lining your gut called mucin, which is what makes up the gut barrier that separates the immune cells in your gut from the bacteria. They start to eat it because it's carbohydrate. And so you actually start to break down your gut barrier just from that. The second thing that happens is what you mentioned, is that a lot of the pathogenic bacteria will swim up to the small intestine where they're usually not supposed to be. Small intestine is where you absorb sugar, protein, fats. They swim up there, and guess what? Sugar!
Right.
They start to eat the sugar, and they start to multiply. And the thing about having bacteria in the small intestine where it's not supposed to be is that it causes the same response that eating gluten causes, where it basically it's called small bacteria intestinal overgrowth. And what happens is that the tight junctions that make up the gut barrier start to open up, and that allows the inflammatory immune cells to be in contact with bacteria. And then, of course, the immune cells go, oh, bacteria, and they start to try to kill it because they think that's not supposed to be there. It could be potentially harmful pathogenic bacteria. And so that starts to set off an immune response, inflammatory immune response. And the more you have, the more sugar you eat, the more this population of bacteria is flourishing. So that's another thing that's changing that. But it's also one of the reasons, like I was saying, with and I've never actually tried a ketogenic diet, but because for various reasons. But I'm not sure how much plants you eat. Can you eat a good amount of? Can you get some?
It really depends on the individual. On a very small scale, Rob Wolf and his wife have